Lots and lots of action keeps going on the text line about this EV announcement that was made today. Don't worry, we're going to go back to the phone lines and back to the text lines about an hour from now. Right now, though, we're going to talk about what it's like to be an American in Canada. So, I have had literally countless conversations with people in the last few months about how terrifying it is to see what's happening in the States. Actually, most people say, I can't even talk about it. But what is it like to be an American here in Canada, watching it from afar? Well, Jacob Wesoky is a political science student at McGill. He's also president of Democrats at McGill, and he wrote an opinion piece in today's Gazette. Right now, he joins me on the line. Good afternoon.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for coming on the show. So, Jacob, your visual was pretty strong. I'll let you describe it. What is it like being an American in Canada right now?
Yeah, I said in the Gazette this morning that it feels like I'm standing on my neighbor's lawn, watching my house burn down, and an arsonist has taken control of the house. Fire department's nowhere to be found, and he's threatening to burn down the whole neighborhood. So definitely a little bit of an extreme depiction, but I think it definitely stands and describes how a lot of Americans are feeling right now.
Tell me, what are some of the things that you're seeing that concern you the most?
You have, in the U.S., you have ICE, who's become Donald Trump's private army that's occupying American cities, kidnapping people off of the streets, separating families, and even killing U.S. citizens. And then quickly after that, defaming and blaming the victims. So it's just absolutely disturbing. There's rampant corruption, from ballroom bribes to crypto scams. You have Donald Trump's obsession with NATO, threatening to obsession with Greenland, threatening to tear apart NATO. And one of the most disturbing things being in Canada is his obsession with tearing apart the U.S.-Canada relationship as well. So all of that's been very disturbing to watch as an American in Canada.
Yeah, one thing that I've been watching with interest is the lack of pushback. I feel like it's starting a bit more, and I'm talking about in the States. I can remember when Trump first came in, having a conversation with a political scientist who said, you can't worry about Trump because America has the institutions in place that are going to prevent any real corruption from happening, notably the judiciary, but other institutions as well. Those seem to have been silenced. Why do you think this is happening, and why aren't there more people pushing back?
I think from the Trump administration perspective, it's much easier to hide a million atrocities than it is to hide one. They've been just bombarding the news, bombarding the airwaves with atrocity after atrocity, violation of rights after violation of rights, hoping that we can't fight them all. And until now, that sort of has been the case. It is very overwhelming. No individual can stop all of this. So it is very chaotic. And I think also Donald Trump, and part of his Project 2025, has been to tear down these institutions, to weaken these institutions, weaken checks and balances, expand executive power. We've seen Republicans in Congress not doing their job. Democrats in Congress, until recently, haven't really been stepping up either. And on top of that, they've been defying court orders, weakening the courts, things like that as well. And also, in Trump's first term, packing the Supreme Court with conservative justices and things like that. So,
to be fair, every president does that. But also, one thing you didn't mention, and I've been thinking of too, is the way that he's pretty effectively shut down criticism from higher learning, from universities, pretty much from money, like bankrupting them.
Yeah, definitely. He's had this sort of war on higher education, and unfortunately it has been pretty effective, his financial blackmail of these universities. And that's why I think also it's important, as an American studying at McGill, a university that is not affected by the Department of Education and by President Trump's policies, to really be speaking out on these issues.
Okay, I want to ask you about that. But before I do, you mentioned you're a Democrat and some Democrats are speaking out. I wonder, do you have any colleagues here at McGill who are Republicans? Because I noticed in the polls, like a recent poll said a majority of Americans still support Trump's immigration policies, even after everything that's been happening in Minneapolis. So I just wonder if you are having kind of those kinds of discussions with Republicans here in Canada.
I haven't encountered that many Republicans at McGill. I mean, there's obviously a few, but I would say that most of the people I've encountered, most of the people I've talked to are not satisfied with the immigration policy. They see what's happening. They see families being torn apart. They see children being detained. They see people being killed in the streets. And I think most people are against that.
Mm-hmm. So you do argue in your piece that there are things individuals can do, but also Canada can do. What are some of those things?
Yeah, definitely. So starting on the Canada level, one thing that I think Canada can do at a minimum is to end the Safe Third Country Agreement. So what that is it's Canadian policy to send back any migrants seeking asylum, send them back to the U.S. border, send them back to the U.S. if they enter anywhere besides an airport, because they view that the U.S. is a safe country for asylum seekers. But that premise clearly no longer stands, and I think for Prime Minister Carney's government, part of taking the sign out of the window and no longer living within the lie is recognizing the reality in the U.S. and recognizing that that reality is no longer compatible with the agreement. You
refer, of course, to the speech that he made in Switzerland. But I wonder, with this safe third-party agreement, I mean, imagine Trump's reaction if Canada declared the U.S. not a safe country. Like, I worry about the backlash.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, part of not living within the lie is no longer walking on eggshells around Donald Trump. I mean, you have to fight fire with fire. I think that it's really time for the middle powers to step up in order to fight this. And I think that if Canada is the beacon of hope and freedom that it says it is, then I think it needs to promote human dignity and human rights and be the leader that in the areas that the U.S. is lacking in.
Yeah, although we also really would like that trade deal back, you know, the U.S., Mexican-Canada trade deal. But just before I let you go, I do want to ask you about another thing that you suggested, which I thought was interesting and kind of opened my eyes too, which is investments in, for example, McGill has some investments, but Canadian investments in companies or organizations that are somehow supporting some of the things that are going on in states.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there are a lot of Canadian firms and investments in ICE, in various institutions that are responsible for democratic erosion and human rights abuses. Like you said, McGill has $2.2 million in investment in Palantir, which is the AI surveillance firm behind a lot of ICE's immigration crackdowns. You had Rochelle, based in Ontario, which supplied armored trucks to ICE. Garda World, which is here in Montreal, staffed and provided security for Alligator Alcatraz in Florida.
Yeah.
And the list could go on and on. Wow. And I think that it's really important that Canadians stop funding the democratic erosion in the U.S. that will ultimately threaten to undermine Canadian sovereignty. I think that you see the consequences of the democratic erosion in the U.S., and you don't want that fire to spread into Canada.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll leave it on your fire analogy. Super interesting to talk to you and great article. Jacob, thank you.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for having me.
Bye. That is Jacob Wesoky. He is a political science student at McGill. He's a president of Democrats at McGill, and he wrote an opinion piece in today's Gazette. And if you missed the beginning or that piece, then the reference to the fire is, he says, it's like standing on your neighbor's lawn and watching your house burn down.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years.
And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.